Welcome back to the capsON podcast. It is week 9 of the NFL season. My name is Tyler Blumenstick, joined by Sam Meehan, Nick Tobias, and Anthony Mano. We're going to start off with Sunday night this week with the New Orleans Saints and the Tampa Bay Bucks. The line is set at Bucks minus 4.5. The total set at 50.5. You can get the Bucks money line at minus 225 and the Saints money line plus 185.
Saints are expected to get back Michael Thomas, too. I don't know about Emmanuel Sanders, but definitely Michael Thomas. So that's probably why the line moves so much. That's all I got for now. I was hoping somebody else was going to talk because
I think 4.5 is a pretty good number for this game. I think this game would have been a lot higher if Tampa Bay not struggled, but if they didn't kind of slog through that Giants. No, they slogged through it. They didn't struggle. They just kind of, I don't know if they didn't show up, if they were looking ahead. I think it's a look ahead game for them last week, but they kind of slogged through that game for one reason or another, right? I think this Tampa Bay team is still one of the best teams in the NFL. I don't see how they don't cover 4.5 points here. I'm taking Tampa Bay. I'm laying the points down.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn here.
I'm going to end here. I know this the concept of the look ahead game from the Giants. They looked a little lethargic. The defense from the Giants was able to get to Tom Brady and force the whole offense to kind of stall in the first half at least, and then we all know how things went later in the game. But this team they're really starting to find their stride. The 2 weeks before that, they beat the hell out of the Packers and the Raiders, who are two good football teams.
I could argue the Raiders aren't that good of a football team, but
I mean they're okay. They're not a bad team. I mean they're not that good of a team, but they did what they're supposed to, and they won the game by 25 points. And on the New Orleans side, they have won 4 in a row, which if they're just finding ways to win is great. But they're one possession games to the Lions, Chargers, Panthers, and Bears. And I just think right now, even with Michael Thomas, the Bucs are a far better football team, and I think 4 points is fair. I'd probably buy a half point, get it to even 4, but
I think the Achilles heel for this Tampa Bay team is I think it was shown that they could get beat deep. I mean, Daniel Jones had wide receivers deep all day. He just missed them, right? So whether or not they were just expecting him to play short and he just took them long and they weren't expecting it, or if that was written into the game plan knowing it's a weakness in their offense, we're not really sure. But I don't think Drew Brees isn't going to throw the ball 50 yards down downfield. Because he can't. He can't. He hasn't been able to for 4 years, right? And I think the blueprint to get to Tom Brady is to put pressure on him, and I don't think the Saints can do that either. So it's a bad matchup for the Saints, despite how well they've played in their last 4 games.
I'll play a little contrarian here. Tampa Bay did look pretty bad against the Giants. Well, not pretty bad, but not as good as they should have looked. And I do agree that I think it was a little bit of a look-ahead game where or they just took the Giants a little bit lightly. And the Giants' defense is nothing to, joke about. They have a legitimate run defense. Their pass defenses can improve, but their run defense is legitimate. But even Daniel Jones was able to move the ball pretty much all game on Tampa Bay defense, even though
he was going fast, yeah.
Listen, you figure he didn't make 2 key mistakes, throw those picks, make a decision instead of taking the sack or throw the ball away instead of throwing it while you're falling down. Giants could have very easily won that game, and Tampa Bay would have been pretty pissed off losing that game. And there would have been a lot of talk about, is Brady, how is he getting old? What's good with this team? So I just think that game had a lot more to say about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and maybe sometimes they think they're too good. But then again, you also add Antonio Brown to the offensive mix, which is just kind of absurd, and you're expected to get back Chris Godwin. Tom Brady, it seems like he's figuring it out with Gronk. But this is
AB too will be.
The more I talk about it, the more I am convincing myself to take the Buccaneers because it doesn't really make too much sense why they would lose. I mean, Drew Brees is playing away from home, but he is going to be outside in Tampa Bay, and it's probably going to be 50, 60 degrees and beautiful. So what's the big deal? He gets back his star receiver, Michael Thomas. Alvin Kamara has proven that he could play wide receiver 1 as a running back, which is pretty insane. Jared Cook he's pretty good at the tight end position. He can catch the ball deep. He's a red zone threat. Taysom Hill's a Swiss Army knife. I think that if they get back Manny Sanders, I think they really pose a serious threat to this game. Their defense is I honestly can't name too many people on their defense except for Cam Jordan and Marshawn Lattimore, but Marshawn Lattimore is a stud. But other than that, who else is going to cover the 4 wide receivers, 5 if you include Gronk on that team? I'm going to have to stick to the Saints plus 4.5 because I said at the beginning, but I don't like it at all.
It's tough. 4.5 is a tough number. If this was like 7 or like 6.5, 7, I think it's a little bit easier to pick the Saints.
Yeah,
but like 4.5. I mean,
you look at it as a division game too. Whenever I look at division games, I always look at the NFC East division games and how both teams can be so like when the Giants have been terrible and they've played a significantly better Eagles team or significantly better Cowboys team, they always play up to the competition and it's always close. So yeah. I agree. I do think the 6.5 for Tampa or for New Orleans is a little. I would feel more comfortable taking that. But it's a division game. You never know what's going on.
Yeah. Stick thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna take the Saints, I think, but I forgot that Antonio Brown was coming back. Now that he is coming back,
yeah.
I mean,
I don't have to talk yourself into doing it.
Yeah, like I don't expect him to be like a huge part of the offense immediately, but like he's still a receiver that is extremely athletic, is a really good route runner, and will draw attention simply for the fact that he is Antonio Brown.
Even if he's a decoy, like that matters.
Yeah, that even in itself, like we'll get Godwin open, it'll get Gronk open, and then Antonio Brown will get his catches too. The Saints have been keeping games close. 3-point game versus Chicago, 3-point win versus Carolina, 3-point win versus the Chargers.
Are those inspiring opponents, though?
They're not.
No, but now you look at the Carolina game. That's a division game, and clearly, I think New Orleans is a better team over Carolina, and that's an instance where the worst team is playing up to the competition, and I think that's a prime example of this kind of division game you're going to kind of get right here.
I guess the point that I was kind of going to go down is they were 7-point favorites in 2 of those games versus Carolina and the Chargers, and 5.5-point favorites against Chicago, and they didn't cover the spread in any of those. So if they're playing down to bad competition and you have a Bucs team that comes in here, I think the Bucs run them out. I mean, maybe not run them out, but I think this number is small enough for me to take Tampa Bay.
I've said run out of the building on this podcast twice against 2 different teams, and I think I was wrong both times. Like just flat out wrong, like outright losses. So like,
I have juju.
I have a bad relationship with the run them out of the building, and apparently the Dallas Cowboys as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, picking the Dallas Cowboys, the only team that hasn't covered any spread this year.
Well, yeah. I haven't picked them since Dak went down, so I might have picked them when Andy Dalton's first game. I don't know.
Yeah, we did do that.
It's okay. We live and learn. This is a learning experience.
So we have 3 on the Bucs and 1 half-hearted Saints pick. So
I would say half-hearted low spirit plus 4.5 is kind of where I'm at right now.
Pretty much. All right. Let's go on to easy money. I don't love the slate. I know the consensus within the 4 of us is that the slate isn't that great, and
it's ugly.
Yeah, it's pretty ugly. I mean, I don't know. I'll kick it off, and I'll go with a cop-out pick just because the line is relatively low enough. They're underdogs, and I'm going to take the New York Giants plus 2.5 this week.
Let's go.
Yeah. You think that's easy? Sorry, you think that's easy?
I just think they're bound to get a win. They're playing really close games, and
they're playing the football team again.
They have to break through, and if you're not going to break through against one of the weaker teams on your schedule, when are you going to?
Never.
Yeah,
they have a win against them this year. They have a win.
Yeah, it's a different. I think it's a different team though. I
think they're both completely different teams at this point. They both are.
The thing is, the Washington offense doesn't scare me at all. Like, you put Bradbury on Terry McLaurin, they don't have many other options. Antonio Gibson back there, we have a good run defense to stop that. Like, I don't know. I feel like if Daniel Jones just cleans it up.
Okay,
so I don't know.
Make your case. It's just.
That's it. No, I don't really have much more than that. I just feel like they're bound to break through, and I know Daniel Jones has to turn it around, and I don't want to harp on this and get angry, but like he makes one extra throw that game, and they win against the Bucs.
Daniel Jones makes 2 mistakes per game that cost the Giants the game.
It's more than that.
He makes at least 2 big key mistakes every game, and that's what cost the Giants the football game. And we've seen that the past couple weeks where he's coughed up the ball in prime, in minutes where he needs to complete a pass. I think the story of this is Washington's defense to the Giants, against the Giants.
The front seven specifically.
The front seven. So the Washington football team, they have an 8.2% sack rate, which is like top 5 highest in the league.
They're good.
And the Giants sacked allowed rate is 9.2, which is also one of the worst in the league. So you look at Chase Young, Ryan Kerrigan, Montez Sweat, just kind of eating up. And we've seen Daniel Jones hold under,
Daron Payne. Sorry, I can keep naming guys.
You could
they've
keep
drafted,
going.
They've drafted defensive linemen in the first round for the past like X amount of years. That's the same formula that the 49ers have done, and it worked, right?
And
if you
works.
hit on those guys, it's going to work. Even if you don't hit on those guys, you can probably find a role for a guy like something that he's really good at. If a guy can get to the quarterback, like great, you can scheme him like whatever. So it's getting off hand, but like you have a point. It's like they're going to get to the quarterback and they're going to force Daniel Jones to make mistakes. And like Daniel Jones is known to make mistakes.
He's known. That's the point. He's known to make mistakes under pressure, and that's what kind of makes me nervous here. And Kendall Fuller, their number 1 cornerback, is giving up a 9.3 passer rating, and the next best is Brashad Breeland at a 24.5. Breshad.
And
so
Fuller picked him off last time. Granted, it was controversial. It was like in the end zone. So,
again, the Giants have a decent amount of weapons on the offense, but we've been saying this as Giant fans the past 3 years, and nothing's been done. There's no Devontae Freeman, so it's going to have to be Wayne Gallman, which whatever.
He's better.
I'm okay with that. I'm totally.
Gallman's better than
the Wayne
train.
The Wayne train.
I mean,
right now, Gallman's not better.
Daniel Jones has 11. Daniel Jones has 11 turnovers right now, which is on pace to keep up with the 23 that he had last year. So it's an equally as bad year for Daniel Jones.
He only has 11.
And it looks like, and as Giant fans, it looks a lot worse because
that's called consistency.
He's consistently bad. So I don't see it sucks. I want to see the Giants win as bad as these 3 guys, but I can't see it.
But I can help you out here a little bit, Stick. 2.5 points for a team that beat another team earlier in the league, earlier in the year, and against a division. Like it's probably going to be a close game. I worry that 2.5 is probably a bit too low. So if you can get that to like 3 or like 3.5 to like. Even though you're gonna fucking eat it on the odds. Like you'll probably feel a little bit more
43. That's the total set at 43. So they're assuming this is a 23-20 game.
It wasn't the first one 22-21, so like that could
20-19.
20-19.
2019.
Why even bother touching this football game? It's just so.
I don't know. It's my pick. You can go next if you want, but that's
ugly.
It.
It's ugly. There's avenues for them to win the game outright.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in that sense, it makes it a good make the case
I
pick.
just don't. Yeah, I don't think it's that crazy. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead, Nick.
All right. So my easy money this week is going to be the Seattle Seahawks.
Wait, rewind. That was your easy money?
Yeah, that was easy money. That was
okay. Fast forward. Go ahead. Fine. Go ahead. I was okay.
So my easy money this week is going to have to be the Seattle Seahawks -3 at the Buffalo Bills.
I like it.
Initially, you look at these 2 teams, and you look at Seattle just coming off a pretty brutal, heartbreaking, wallet-breaking loss to the Arizona Cardinals. Or no, that was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're coming off a bye, I believe.
They popped off last week. I forgot who they played last week, but
they played the Niners.
Yes. No. Yes. The Seattle Seahawks are a good football team. Let's be frank, and they're not expected to have Chris Carson.
I'm not
again.
Frank. I'm Anthony.
We're on a roll with the jokes today.
So the Seattle Seahawks are supposed to be. They're still supposed to be without their top running backs in Carson and Hyde and Homer. But I really don't think that matters. It didn't matter last week. I don't think it's going to matter too much this week. Buffalo is on the decline. They just barely won last week. It took a New England Cam Newton fumble in the fourth quarter for them not to win that football game. They didn't cover, and they lost that. They just barely won that football game. The Buffalo defense ranks 22nd in total efficiency. They're allowing 160 rushing yards a game. So, give the ball to whoever's in the backfield, DJ Dallas, even Russell Wilson at this point, and they're going to run all over. My whole thing here is the Seattle offense that is just pure firepower. Between DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, you don't need anybody else on the football field because that's really all you need is them two and Russell Wilson. It's proven to be effective. They're supposed to be getting Jamal Adams back this week, which would be huge for their defense. Plus, Carlos Dunlap is going to play this week. He just had a clear COVID protocol. That's why he didn't play last week. So they're going to get some pass rushing. They're going to get good defensive linemen up front against a team who struggles to run the football. Josh Allen has proven to be inconsistent this year, throwing the football deep. Seattle is 7-1-1 against the spread in their last 9 games in the Eastern time zone. I just think this is too easy. I think Seattle runs them against. I think Seattle has a very good football game here, and I think Russell Wilson adds to his MVP run this year easily.
I think this game. I'm with you. I don't know why it's 3, because it seems a little low to me. Like to
It's
me,
in
this
Buffalo,
should be yeah, I guess so.
But the thing is, Vegas has been valuing Buffalo as a top 10 team all year. That's why all of their spreads
Really?
have been so high. All season, their spreads have been so high. They haven't covered any of their last 4 games. So they've been favored by over 6.5. They've been favored by at least 6.5 points, and they aren't covering it because their defense is just not that good this year. Which is
not as
fine,
good as it was last year.
Which is fine, and that's why I think Russell Wilson picks them apart.
Mm-hmm. This game was going to be my make the case game, but I can shift off of it. But one of the reasons I was going to make the case for Seattle, right, -3, because I think they're going to blow them out of the water. But the one thing that makes me nervous for
watch
Buffalo,
what you say. Please watch
that's
what you
true.
say.
Well, no, I didn't say run them out of the building. I said blow them out of the water. I'm changing the analogy. I'm changing the analogy. All right. If this one doesn't work, I'll try something else, like blow the doors in or something. This Buffalo team, right? And you touched on it. Josh Allen can throw the ball deep. He doesn't do it consistency, but the Seattle defense isn't that good on itself, right? So I think that's where if Josh Allen was consistent in throwing the deep ball, I think I would probably take Buffalo +3. But since he can't do that on a consistent basis, he's not going to be able to pick apart a weak Seattle secondary every single time. So for every 2 points that Russell Wilson scores, or every 2 points that offense scores in Seattle, and they're letting up 1 point or 1 touchdown or 1 field goal, whatever, I don't think it's going to make up a difference of 3. So I think I'm with you, Nick. I think Seattle wins this game handedly.
Sammy, give me your easy money.
All right, so my easy money of the week is Bears +6.5 at Tennessee. So to me, this is too many points for Tennessee. I'm looking back last week at the Bears. Their offense looked not good, but it looked more competent than it had all season. And scoring 23 points. I mean, Foles looked, as best he did all season. Right when people wanted, were calling for his job, mid-third quarter, he comes back. They're tie the game, go to overtime. And I think the Chicago defense is still very good. The rush defense is middle of the pack, but their pass defense is great. And I think their secondary is good enough that they can really stack the box against Derrick Henry to kind of neutralize him and force Tannehill to win the game. And I know his stats have been very good, but Tennessee's starting to slide a little bit, coming off a bad loss against the Bengals. Not good football team, the Bengals are. And I think just a touchdown's too much. I think the Bears will be able to keep them out of the end zone enough to keep it close, keep it within a touchdown. And then, I think Titans will win the game, but, give me something like 24-20, something like that. Easy cover for the Bears.
I mean, I think I've been on the Bears pretty much all season except last week.
When you should have been.
I should, yes.
They played the Saints.
This is the game where I think Nick Foles finally figures it out. The Titans have a bottom 10 pass
Very
defense.
bad, yeah.
They're giving up around 270 passing yards per game.
And And that really starts with their inability to rush the quarterback.
Now, and then you talk about that aspect, and the Chicago Bears are missing virtually their whole offensive line due to injuries this year. And Nick Foles hasn't had any time to throw the football, and he's not really a playmaker with his legs like Mitch Trubisky is.
So what are you saying gives here? What do you think gives?
It's tough. I mean, you look at Ryan Tannehill having to make. I mean, he has to make plays. I mean, the Chicago defense is no joke. The problem with their defense is the Chicago offense hasn't been good enough, and it's been putting a lot of strain on the defense, especially against those good football teams, like when we talk about the Saints and stuff like that. Tannehill has thrown for more than 2 touchdowns in the past 4 games, but that's also because Derrick Henry runs the ball down to the 80-yard line. Runs it 80 yards down the field into the 20-yard line, and all Tannehill has to do is dunk it in the end zone. He gets a tutty. So 6.5 points.
That's just too much for me.
I'll stay on the Bears. I love them. I do, and I think they're a cover machine where they will keep a game close. They will lose a game, but they will keep a game close, and that's
exactly. Yeah, I'd maybe buy it up to 7, and then
listen. Nick Foles is a good quarterback. The team believes in him, and supposedly the locker room believes in him. Trubisky is now
they're intimidated by him.
Yeah.
More specifically, his third leg.
Yes, by that.
His tripod.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Trubisky's like hurt now. His shoulder is hurt. So now Foles really doesn't have to worry about him getting plugged in. Foles is the leader of this team. I think he throws for a couple tutties, and the game's close.
6.5 is a lot of points. That's all I'll say on that.
Yeah.
I can't endorse either side of this because like I just don't feel comfortable doing it at 6 points. But it's like there's points on both sides to be had here.
You're easy money. Go ahead.
It's tough. I have 3 on the docket here, right? And I was really hoping one of you guys took the other one, so I can have an easier time here. But I'm going to take Las Vegas plus 1.5. To me, the Vegas Raiders have been playing decent enough football to be the same thing, getting every single game. They beat the Chiefs. They're keeping teams close. This really comes down to me is more importantly what's on the Chargers, right? Even if the Chargers are up like 3 and they give the ball back to Derek Carr in that offense with like 3 minutes left, are we entirely confident that they're going to not blow the game? No. This has been the Chargers for like 8 years now, whether it's been Phillip Rivers or Tyrod Taylor or now Justin Herbert, right? And that's not taken away from any of those guys. That defense has constantly coughed up leads and put the offense in shitty situations to try to come back with less than ample amount of time. But I'm taking John Gruden when he's getting points. I think he's one of the better coaches in the league here. The offense is unique. It's different. He's getting weapons involved. He's got Henry Ruggs now, he's shown he has trust in. Derek Carr is getting the ball out. He's played like a decent quarterback. I just don't think the Chargers have enough talent to keep this game.
But don't you feel like I feel like something's got to give for the Chargers this year? I mean, Herbert's been balling out.
You think they got to get a win eventually?
Yes.
So my thing with Herbert, right, is as good as Herbert's been, right, there's inconsistencies. When he was coming out of Oregon, right? Like he can't throw he can throw the deep ball, but it's not consistent. He can do this, but it's not consistent, right? And everything is clicking right now for him, right? To me, eventually his play is going to regress. And I like Justin Herbert. I think he's a really good quarterback. I think he's he's probably the 3rd best in this class, but that's just because Burrow is an immaculate talent and Tua is probably the best quarterback that college football has seen prior to injuries. So we can debate whatever after injuries, but I think it's tough for him to keep that consistency. I think the Raiders put Mahomes in a tough spot and that offense in a tough spot. I don't see why they can't duplicate the game plan to a very similar situation and give the lesser quarterback a tougher time.
It's not Herbert being inconsistent. It's the defense not holding the lead.
Right.
But you
No,
look
and
okay. So they lost to when Herbert's the starter. Excuse me. They lost to Tampa Bay, which is a top offense, and you lose to New Orleans, which is a top offense in the league, and then you also lose to the Broncos last week, which was annoying. You were up the whole game, and the defense blew the game. But where do you put the Las Vegas Raiders offense in that group of teams? You probably put them third in front of Denver, but underneath New Orleans. So you figure they hold a lead against, they hold a lead this week against the Raiders, and maybe they hold it. They don't let it go. But my thing here is I think Herbert's an absolute stud, and he threw for 2 interceptions last game, but he threw for 3 touchdowns, no interceptions against the Jaguars, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions against the Saints, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. And you harp all the time about how good the Bucs defense is, but you're throwing 3 tutties, 1 interception as a rookie. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Herbert's a stud, but I also can't argue that John Gruden is also one of the best coaching minds, football minds in the NFL.
Yeah. I'm looking at the Raiders' wins and losses right now, and they have some really good wins against really talented teams. They beat the Saints, they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Browns. So say what you want about the Browns, whatever.
They're bad,
and they beat the Panthers, right? I mean, then their losses are bad. It's a 16-point loss to the Patriots. It's a 7-point loss to the Bills, but that was in Week 4 when we thought Josh Allen was going to be the MVP. And it's a 25-point loss to the Buccaneers 2 weeks ago. It really hinges either way. If they're going to win this game, I think they can win this. I think they're going to win this game outright. So that's why I think taking 1.5 points here is easy money for me.
All right, let's move on to
why don't you Stick? Open your mouth. I haven't heard you speak in like 15 minutes.
I mean, you guys are making your picks. I make my picks, and I let you guys talk about your own. Not everybody interrupts other people, Nick.
I don't interrupt. I wait until you're finished.
True.
Stick, give me a make the case here.
All right, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens +1 at the Colts.
I like that.
I'm going to go next.
Oh my God. Okay,
Just
go ahead,
let me
Stick.
know.
Because I'm like kind of on the other side.
See, all right.
This was
Nick,
one of my
Nick, just
easy
let me
money games,
go.
so I'm with you, Stick.
I don't understand why the Baltimore Ravens are getting a point. Like, Lamar Jackson has clearly regressed a little bit, and he doesn't play against elite teams. What, Nick? You're making faces.
He regressed a little bit?
What did this line open at?
This line opened at Indy +4.
Yeah,
So we're getting heavy overreaction from people not believing in the Ravens. or Lamar
I
Jackson.
took
Yeah, and I
Indy
don't know why.
+2 like earlier today, so that might look a little off. But.
All right, so let me just dive into this. Lamar Jackson regressed, but the only reason I'm not going as far as Nick wants me to go, saying that he regressed a lot, is because he still has his ability with his legs to make the plays. And
that's not passing. That's running the football.
He's playing the position. He still regressed a little bit with the arm, but what I'm saying is he still has the ability to run and make those plays with his legs and still be explosive when his arm isn't there. He struggles against elite teams, but yes, the Colts have a good defense, but they don't scare me. I wouldn't – Nick, you're making faces. I mean, look. The Colts
have arguably like the third best defense in the league behind the Ravens.
I just said they have a good defense.
Can I throw some stats at you real quick?
Go for it.
Please, Stick.
Look, guys,
Sam,
let me just close this up
I will
real quick,
throw
and then
some right
you guys
at you.
can go.
Throw it.
Yeah.
Throw it.
I don't trust the Colts offense, and I think this is a game that the Ravens defense really steps up, and their offense can do enough to beat a Colts team that is just a solid football team, but not a great football team. Like, this is a game the Ravens have to win, and I think they're good enough to do it.
Bounce back game.
Yeah.
So actually, my make the case was actually the other side. I had the Colts, but +2. So either way, taking the Colts. So the Indy has the second-ranked rush defense in the NFL, and to compare like last week, where they were able to get like about 200 rushing yards, was Pittsburgh is the 5th-ranked rushing defense, but Indy is first in the NFL in opponent passer rating at 76.2. It's all about keeping Jackson contained. Like, don't let him break off on these big, broken plays. The designed runs last week against Pittsburgh really weren't working. It was a few times able to break free, on a designed pass. And the Indy is 8th in takeaways with 12, 11 of those being interceptions.
Yep.
If they can get pressure on Jackson, make him throw the ball and make mistakes, just like Pittsburgh did last week, I think the Colts win this game.
Okay, can I throw stats now?
I understand that side of the argument, but like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I just think this is one of those games where you're not going to hold the Ravens to like 10 points.
Yeah, no, I
don't-
get your side.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think they can do enough. Go, Nick.
That's
Come
why
on.
we're
Give me
making the
numbers.
case here.
There is
Yeah,
a
give me
way.
some-
There is a way we can
there's
both
a legitimate
win.
argument here. I mean, it's a legitimate argument, and Baltimore is clearly the better team than Indianapolis. Clearly, I mean, you look at both on paper, and I would take Baltimore over the Colts 9 days a week. But Sam mentioned the passer rating for the Colts defense. They're also leading the league in an NFL low 182 passing yards per game with an NFL high 11 interceptions. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens have the second worst passing offense. They're averaging 180 yards per game. Guess who's worse than them? The only team that's worse than them. The New York Football Jets, who are averaging 156 yards per game. So clearly they have no passing game, and it showed last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers where they needed Josh or J.K. Dobbs, whatever his name is, J.K. Dobbins, to rush for 115 yards just to keep them in the football game. Lamar Jackson's completion percentage has dropped from a 66% to a 60.5. So clearly he's regressed. Now, yes, the Baltimore Ravens defense is good. But still, the past couple weeks, Phil Rivers actually kind of seems like he's getting comfortable in the offense. In the past 2 games, he's thrown for 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, which is pretty good for Phil Rivers considering he's an interception machine.
I agree, but it was against Cincinnati and Detroit.
Okay, but who lost to Cincinnati last week?
Phillip Rivers, dude.
Who lost to Cincinnati last week?
The Titans.
The Titans.
Okay.
Look,
Listen.
you can't simply compare the Titans to the Baltimore offense. Those are 2 completely different.
In what way?
offenses.
In what way?
I mean, I look at
They're
last year's
both
divisional
run
rounds.
central.
They're both run heavy. They're both run heavy offenses, and
I know,
they
but
need
Lamar
their quarterback
Jackson's
to
the
make
best-
a play with his arm maybe 3-4 times a game that are really important.
Fine, that parallel lines up, but Lamar Jackson is the freaking best playmaker on that offense. Ryan Tannehill at quarterback is not what you're looking out for when you're guarding the Tennessee Titans offense. It's Derrick Henry. It's just a completely different look offense. Yes, they both look to run the ball, but it's a completely different look.
Listen, I'm not taking this. I am not putting any of my U.S. currency on this football
Your
game.
beans.
I'm not putting any
No beans.
yams. I'm
Putting
not
a
putting
few
any yams on
beans.
this football game
None of
because
this?
I legitimately think that the Indianapolis Colts can win this football game, and there's a good chance, but Baltimore is the better team, which is why I can't touch it.
All right.
I
let's
think
move
this
on.
market is vastly overreacting to a loss against a good Pittsburgh Steelers team.
Mhm.
I don't think they should be. I agree it's going to be a close game, but I don't think they should be.
No,
dogs
1.5.
in any-
I don't like 1.5. If it was more like if it was closer to 4, or maybe closer to
Well,
6.
it was. It was.
and
It
that's where
opened at
should be.
4, and then people are buying the Colts because they don't think Lamar
Okay,
Jackson
so
or that
if the
offense is
Colts
that
are
good,
plus
which is a
4.
fair.
Bro,
If
the
the
Colts
Colts
are
are
plus
plus
4.
4.
Yeah, I'd probably take the Colts. Yeah, but they're not. That's
I
not
know,
what that's not what we're talking about right now.
Fair enough. Okay, sorry.
All right, let's
Um,
move on. Somebody else
Okay,
grab it.
I don't get a word in on this. Okay, it's a shame.
If you want?
No,
you can. Go
no,
for it.
there's nothing here. Other than I think people are underestimating the Ravens in this situation, and both teams are very good. But I think people are overreacting to the Ravens
Yeah,
loss
no,
last
I
week.
totally agree.
I think that's evidenced by the way that it's going. But I can go here. I'm taking the Miami Dolphins this week as my make the case.
Yes.
I look what they did. Last week, and I've been you guys have been all over Miami this year.
Oh,
And
I've
I'll
been
give
all
you
over
credit.
Miami all
I'll give
year.
you credit where credit is due. I've been a little bit more skeptic on him. You guys have been all over him, so that's kudos to you guys. But to me, this Miami team, what they did last week to Jared Goff and like an offense that on paper is like really good, they made him look silly. And you don't really look at it from a Miami team and be like, this team was 2-14 last year or whatever they were, right? And everyone was like, they play hard. They play for their coach. They're doing it. Like, they're really talented. They're just, it's 1 or 2 plays here and there. This year, they're kind of putting it all together, right? And they're kind of giving you a taste of they're limiting mistakes. The offense is solid. They brought in Byron Jones to put next to Xavier Howard. They have a really good pass defense. Their pass rushers are okay. They get there, but they're not there consistently, so that's the next step for them. But I look at this Arizona team, and this Arizona team, like, offensively isn't anything to write home about. They're good when they run the ball, and that's because Kyler Murray is probably one of the better runners in the league, and they have the best wide receiver in the league, but I don't trust Kyler Murray to get him to the ball, like, get him the ball consistently. This line is 3.5 right now on FanDuel, which stinks, but 4.5 on every other book. I think if you can get,
I see
on
4.5
FanDuel right now.
No, on a different site.
Okay,
That's why he just said every other site has it at 4.5 and FanDuel has it at 3. He just said that. He didn't just
I'm
say
agreeing with you.
anyways, I think Miami has shown me enough at this point where I can comfortably bet on them, and I'm not very high on the Cardinals in the first place. So this is a good spot for me, I think. I
am so utterly happy that I've been on the Bears and the Dolphins all year, and in this episode I have a gentleman who's on the Bears and a gentleman who's on the Dolphins. And it just makes me so happy that finally I have people around me that realize that these teams are legit. They're legit. The Miami Dolphins are a legit team. And granted, Tua only had 93 passing yards last week, but he also didn't have to do much at all. The defense was doing all the work for him. Tua is arguably the best quarterback to come out of that class. Granted, he almost had a hip injury, that cost him his career.
Right. If with injuries aside, he'd be the number 1 pick. Burrow had a great year.
But how does it make you
LSU.
feel now the Dolphins don't have the number 1 running back in Myles Gaskin? Does that not mean anything?
I don't think that matters that much. I think it hurts them. But I don't think it.
I think
I don't think it makes that big of a deal.
I think the Arizona Cardinals personally make this game close. I think their defense is decent enough where they can kind of give Tua issues. I'm not sure how Tua feels about rolling outside of the box, and I think that's what they're going to make him do is try to make plays with his legs.
Right. And that's what I wanted to get into too. My main concern is like Tua for lack of better words, he stunk last week against the Rams, right? He wasn't good. That defense carried them to a win, right? And he just kind of was there assisting. I don't think that recipe does it again this week, but I also don't anticipate him to be as bad as he was last week. You know what I mean? And going against Aaron Donald when Aaron Donald's in your face for 2 seconds after you snap
that
the ball,
LA Rams
number 1
defense
receiver
is no joke.
Yeah,
you got Jalen Ramsey too. It's no joke.
Yeah. Both of these teams are 5-2 against the spread. If one was a little worse, I feel like I'd be a little bit more comfortable here. But that's why we're making the case. And this Miami team.
I think if you want to talk about against the spread, the Miami Dolphins have covered probably 3 of those very comfortably, where it hasn't been like a stress level like what's going on here.
That's because they were probably getting 9-10 points at the beginning of the year, right? Which is fine.
They were getting around 7 points. Like they got 7.5 that one time, or I think they got 9.5 against the Niners, and they just blew them out of the water.
This is a big time game for them to be not favored in this game, but even like this close, I think is other people coming on to respecting them as well. So if I
give me 3.5,
if I'm buying it a little bit too low here at 3.5, and there really should be like a 5.5 team, then so be it. I learned my lesson, but I'm taking Miami here. I think this is gonna be a little close. Yeah, I'll put money. I'll put a little lunch money on the money line. I see you, Sam. I got you.
See, me personally with this Miami team, I feel more comfortable betting money on them with Ryan Fitzpatrick at the helm than Tua Tagovailoa right now.
Maybe if they're playing a terrible team, yeah, give me Fitzpatrick. But if they're playing a decent team, let me see what Tua's got.
I mean, I want to see what Tua's got too. That's half the battle. But I could talk.
But
about
we don't. I don't want to gamble
on
a dude. I don't want to gamble. I guess I am gambling on a dude that's saying, "Show me what you got." But
I mean, I could talk about the Dolphins all day, but I would rather not.
Go ahead.
All right. So my make the case this week. It's going to be the Houston Texans -6.5 at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars are not only probably the second or third worst team in the NFL. Their starting quarterback is not playing, and they're going to have Jake Luton from Oregon State playing his first NFL career game. The Jacksonville defense, on top of their offense, well, their offense is already bad, but on top of their bad offense, they have a worse defense. They're bottom 10 in both passing yards and rushing yards. So passing-wise, they're the 31st pass-ranked defense in the NFL. They gave up 290 passing yards per game. How do you think Deshaun Watson's going to feel about that? Probably pretty good. Run-wise, they're giving up around 145 yards per game, and I'm pretty sure David Johnson's going to have a field day with that too. Watson already in the league has the fifth most passing yards at 282. So he already has more passing yards than the Jacksonville Jaguars are giving up. The only thing that does kind of scare me is the Houston's defense. Their defense is giving up an AFC high 167 yards on the ground, but that's just rushing game. You're not going to win the game on the ground against Deshaun Watson. You're going to have to pass the ball and try to make plays. Deshaun Watson is the better quarterback in this game. The Houston Texans are the better team in this game. I think Deshaun Watson makes something happen. You still have Kenny Stills. You have Will Fuller. You have Randall Cobb. You have pretty decent weapons around you, and he's by far the better quarterback, better playmaker. I think this could easily be one of my easy money games too.
Yeah, this was one of my options as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're putting on our best Sam impression, picking against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but
It tends to work out.
It does. I didn't mention, but this is my Nicky numbers going out there. Houston has covered the last 5 of their last 6 games against the Jaguars, so why not do it again?
yeah, I don't know. I get surprised every time I look at this Houston record, like year in and year out. Like with the team that they have on offense, they should be a much better team than they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look
And
at
they're
the
just
other
not.
side of the ball, and they haven't had a dude there since Ty Matthew.
It's true.
J.J. Watt,
Yeah, but I mean, how much
Jadeveon
value
Clowney.
can you?
Washed.
Fine. All right.
Brian Cushing.
It was like 10 years ago. 5 years ago, maybe. I don't know.
That's all I got for you. I don't have
I
anybody
think Brian
else.
Cushing was on those Eagles Super Bowl team.
Jonathan Joseph. How about that? He was on there before he went somewhere else. I don't know where he went, but
I don't know. All right.
sorry.
He's a free
Sam,
agent. He
is
was
your
a
make
Titan
the case?
last year.
Yeah, my make the case was Indy.
All right, cool. So we can move on to Monday night.
Oh,
we
what
have to?
what a game! Yeah, dude.
The New England Patriots versus the New
Hey,
York Jets.
no, Stick. I'm gonna cut you off. It's been nice talking to you, but like, we don't have to talk about. We don't have to.
This
talk about
was the
game.
I'm not
capsON Sports
excited either.
podcast.
The New England Patriots are minus 8.5. The total set at 42. Patriots money line minus 410. Jets plus 315. I'm gonna keep this short and simple. I don't trust the Jets at all. I'm gonna pick strictly off of coaching and go with the Patriots minus 8.5. I don't trust them wholeheartedly, but if I had to make a pick, I'd rather take Belichick to win this game by 10 than the Jets to not lose this game by more than 8.5. So
All right.
I don't know.
I'm going to be the worst person in the world. I'll take the Jets plus 7 here.
It's 8.5.
Team that's 1-7 against the spread.
8.5. Yeah. Well, there's one. And you know who they
Better than
covered against?
LA.
So they covered against the Buffalo Bills, where they lost 18-10 that game. So not only were they leading at halftime, but they never conceded a touchdown to the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills had 6 field goals that game, and that's why they won 18-10. Go ahead. You want to fact check? You can fact check.
It's the
me,
truth.
Mano.
No, it's the
Gotcha.
truth.
Okay.
You're
So,
right.
I mean, it's kind of tough to say, but I mean, they kind of hung in there against the Chiefs as much as you possibly could, as being the worst team in the league.
Chiefs still
Um,
covered though.
The Chiefs did cover.
A 20 points.
But you talk about that Chiefs game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the leading rusher in that game with only 21 rushing yards. So clearly they kind of held the Chiefs in check. And I mean, obviously they're going to play through the air and whatever. But New England has lost its last 4 games. They haven't scored more than 12 points in 3 of them, and they've had the fewest touchdowns in the league. I don't really trust Cam Newton right now, which is kind of where I'm at. I mean, beginning of the year, Cam Newton looks good in this and that, but personally, I think this game kind of hinges on if the Jets get Sam Darnold. I don't know if he's going to play. I think he got.
I think he is.
He's gonna play.
I know
He
went
played
and got
last week
saw-
and the week before.
but I thought he got checked out by a doctor.
He did.
because of Okay.
They keep checking him out. He's
Yeah,
not practicing. He's literally just showing up on Sunday and playing football games.
The fact
Nice.
For better or worse.
the fact of the matter here is I just don't trust the
Who's
Patriots
their
to score
backup? Oh,
enough.
it's Joe Flacco. Never mind.
Yes, and I would rather not have Joe Flacco pass the football. But
Sorry. Did Joe Flacco beat the Patriots when he went to the Super Bowl like a few years ago?
No,
Whatever.
they beat Denver in the.
They beat the
championship
Niners.
game. No, I'm talking about
In the Super Bowl, yeah. But who did they beat to get there?
They beat Denver.
They beat the
No,
Steelers too.
I don't know who they beat before the Denver.
All right, keep going. I'll look it up. I got you.
Yeah, I mean, I got one more sentence. My last sentence is I just don't trust the Patriots to score enough touchdowns on offense to keep it over 8.5 points. So I'm going to take the Jets plus 8.5.
Damn, go ahead. Because I think I know where you're going.
Oh God.
Do it. Do it.
I'm taking the Jets.
Do it.
Look at For those listening on audio, Sam is head back, slouched in his chair, hands over eyes. That is the most defeated I'm taking the Jets, or I'm going to put my hard-earned money on it that I've ever seen in my life.
I hate it so much.
So tell me why. Tell me why.
I don't know why.
Okay.
But I think it's the Pats look worse and worse. And last night I was hanging with my cousin who was a Jets fan. And I asked, "Hey George, why are the Jets going to cover?" And he said, "So Belichick really doesn't want them to get Trevor Lawrence, so he's going to finesse this game and have the Jets win and get them out of the number one pick." So that's going to be my logic behind taking the Jets.
Listen, the Patriots can win the game and still not cover, which I'm fine with.
Under 42, I do actually kind of like.
I will take under 14. in this game.
Pats win 9-3.
What can you get odds at mine? Can you look that up? Because I'm
going to see what what the
alternate totals.
Yeah, some alternate total for under 14. That's impressive. That's honestly impressive. If you get like plus like 450 on it, I'd probably put like $5 on it.
You probably get more than that.
Probably like plus like 1,000.
Anyways, I'm gonna take the Patriots here. Stick along your similar vein here. I don't think the Jets can score the football. I don't think they can stop the Patriots from scoring the football. As bad as that,
if they stop the Bills, they can't stop the Patriots.
Yeah. No.
They still lost that game by 8.
Yeah.
But they didn't concede a touchdown.
Doesn't matter. They still lost by 8.
They covered that game. Don't matter.
They covered that game, but the spread was 9.5. This is 8.5. I think the Patriots.
They would still cover the spread if that was a score again.
I don't care.
Listen, I think they're going to put Cam Newton. I think Bill Belichick is going to put Cam Newton in situations here to succeed, right? I think at this point in the season he knows what he can do. He
hasn't been doing that all year.
I think because it's not he wasn't playing the Jets. He's trying to win. You know what I mean? Like you got to jump out of the box a little bit. Even if you put him in shitty situations, I feel like Cam Newton is good enough to at least expose the Jets defense here.
You would hope.
The Jets are in full fire sale mode. They're trading away. Well, they were trading away assets like Avery Williamson.
And who else? No one else. They didn't trade away assets. They traded away one of their linebackers. That's it.
They got rid of Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, they got rid of Lev Bell.
They didn't trade him.
They cut Le'Veon Bell. They didn't sell him.
I mean, yeah, all right, that's fine. So they're playing a bunch of rookies, right? And if Bill Belichick knows anything, it's how to expose dudes that aren't in comfortable situations. So like that came out wrong, perhaps. But I'm in the same vein as you, Stick. I think he's the better coach. I think he's the better.
You think?
He's better. Yeah,
Man, you're playing the better coach card this week, going with the Las Vegas Raiders and going with the New England Patriots.
The slate is ugly. The slate is very ugly. I don't like the lines. I don't like the teams playing each other. I feel like the matchups are weird. It's a tough spot. But I on a Monday in prime time with Bill Belichick being, the way that he is, I don't think he shows up being like, all right, or he's going to show up being like, all right, everybody freaking hates us right now because we won X amount of Super Bowls and now we stink, right? They're going to tune in and laugh at us. Let's fucking curb stomp the Jets and let's freaking shoot them to the moon, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we close, I want to do a quick hitter.
Give me that line on the under 14.
So under 15.5 is plus 10,000.
Wow.
Nice.
And that's the same odds for under 13.5 and 11.5. They're all 10,000, but like under 15.5.
What is
I'm
under 17.5 or 16.5?
17.5 is plus 6,000.
Uh-huh.
19.5 is 4,000. They go by twos on FanDuel.
It's going to be one of the grossest football games I've ever seen in my entire life.
I'm not excited to watch it.
All right, but I want to do a quick hitter on the league's fattest spread, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs minus 10.5 against Carolina Panthers, who are supposed to get Christian McCaffrey back. Are we taking Kansas City minus 10.5 here? Because I definitely am.
I'm going to say no. Christian McCaffrey's coming back. I'm saying no. 10.5.
I don't think McCaffrey matters that much. I'm going to take the Chiefs, but what time's that game at? That game at 4?
1.
I feel comfortable teasing that down to like 3. I can get that in a 7-point teaser.
Sneaky teasers.
And put that in with somebody else. And I feel comfortable.
But I'm asking you about 10.5, not 3.5.
I would go with Carolina. I think I'm fine with taking that.
I'm gonna look at that more like tomorrow and Sunday. I can give you an answer right now.
No, I want an answer right now.
Right now, I'd lean Panthers, but
you guys, how is it
give me
done?
the Chiefs. I'm with you. Give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs 10.5.
But like I'm leading them. I can always flip. Like
They just got smacked by the Atlanta Falcons. You think
Falcons have a good offense.
Game, but
Falcons have a good offense.
All right, I can't.
And what, the Chiefs' offense isn't better than the Falcons' offense?
No, it is.
I don't know.
Sam just left
because he's betting against the Chiefs.
All right, I don't have a 3-person overlay, so let me wrap this up. This is frustrating. Not actually. Week 9, I guess.
This out if you really want to cut it out.
No, it's fine. Is Sam coming back? No.
Nope, he's going bowling.
All right. Well, this has been Week 9's episode of the capsON Sports Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, capsonsports.com. Pretty much everything. Social media handles, capsON Sports, and that should be it. And my name is Tyler Blumenstick. For Anthony Mano, Nick Tobias, and the recently departed Sam Meehan, we'll see you guys next week.